So how real is that threat? We're joined by Dr. Catherine Thomasson. She's the Executive Director at Physicians for Social Responsibility. Catherine, welcome to our program.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So let's talk about the real health risks associated to climate change. What are some of those health risks?
Well, there's quite a few. The big one that everyone hears about is heat. And we heard about that in Pakistan and in India recently. So in the United States as well, heat, deaths from climate change is the leading cause of climate change deaths. But heat causes other problems. It increases ground level ozone, a pollutant that we breathe in that harms us and causes asthma attacks and increases risks of heart attacks and stroke. Another problem with heat becomes drought. We get changes in our weather patterns. So we're going to have more drought, more floods. Flooding, actually, and flooding deaths in extreme weather are the second leading cause of death from climate change here in the United States. Flooding in the last 25 years has increased 25 to 29% throughout the entire United States.
So, Catherine, the Lancet report mentions poor countries and the elderly as being most at risk. Why is that?
The elderly are most at risk because they have underlying heart disease, lung disease, potentially cancers, and so their risk of heat, stroke, their risk of exertional problems when they're trying to do something in the heat, or if they're not getting clean water, you or I might get sick for a couple of days, but it may cause them to die. So they're more vulnerable. Children are more vulnerable because they play outside. They're outside more, they breathe more, they inhale this pollution more. We know that ground level ozone increases rates of asthma in children, and we know also that it actually reduces lung volumes in children who play outdoor sports in high ozone levels.
Wow. And the Lancet report makes it clear the technology is there, the money is there, just not the political will. Let's listen to a clip from a top UN official on climate change. Listen to how she describes the problem, and I'll get your reaction.
This is a very, very complex issue, even for those of us who live and breathe and eat this. It's very difficult for us to explain it to each other. I mean, I get on the phone and my daughters are, they've eaten climate change since they were born. And even for them, for me to explain, it's very difficult, let alone, to someone else who's completely out there.
Your reaction?
I think that we haven't talked about it in terms of how it's going to impact the average person. Anyone who has now lived through Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Katrina, the rates of anxiety about other extreme weather events is very high, and they want changes to happen. They understand climate change harmed their health.
So clearly this is a very important issue. So why is it so tough to talk about the reality of climate change? Why is that?
Well, I think because we're getting a lot of conflicting information. So just like we did with tobacco companies, that smoking just really isn't that bad for you. We hear this that, oh, it's going to ruin the economy, or it's not really that bad. It's not really due to human use. But I think the other big thing about the Lancet report is that it really underscores that if we deal with the causes of climate change, if we cut our coal-burning power plants, if we cut burning fossil fuels, gasoline, natural gas, we will reduce the two greatest air and water pollutants around. So it's a win-win. Why don't people hear that? Because they're afraid of change, and it's not being made easier for them when they're getting conflicting information.
And it sounds like this type of change would actually save lives.
It would save enormous numbers of lives.
All right, Catherine Thomasson, Dr. Catherine Thomasson, thank you so much for being on our program.